Hey, what's up guys? Instigator92 here, and in today's video, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Space Marine 2. The game's been out a couple of weeks, and I've had plenty of time to digest the content that I have played, and so I'd like to start off here with the campaign. Simply put, the campaign was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it immensely. It's been a breath of fresh air, considering the games that we've had recently, where characters go on all these deep exposés and all this drama with their backstories. This was just, again, refreshing to have a campaign with stoic characters and none of that extra fluff. The characters you play as in the campaign are just simple soldiers trying to get their job done and fight the enemies of the Imperium of Man. Now, since the game's been out a couple of weeks, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to talk a little bit about some things in the campaign, so this is your spoiler warning. With that out of the way, this was simply a fun campaign. You start off with a planet that is undergoing a Tyranid invasion, and if you don't know what the Tyranids are, they are pretty much like the Xenomorphs from the Alien franchise, completely overrunning the planet. And in some ways they act like the Flood by consuming biomass and growing in strength and number. So your job as the Space Marines is to try to slow that invasion down so that you can get military secrets and personnel off-world and rescue them, essentially. After that, you move into a second act where your job is to look for a essentially researcher of the Mechanicus to continue a top secret project for a new energy source or weapon. In doing so, you start to run into a new enemy of the Imperium, which are heretical factions of Astartes. They are also called the Arch Enemy. Once they show up, you start changing your focus towards them instead of the Xenos. Because now that they have shown up, the characters start to believe there is something else going on. At about this point, we enter the third act, where now we are on a mission to stop the heretical factions of Astartes from obtaining the new top secret power source or weapon that they want to use to destroy the Imperium. Now, this third act has some of the coolest moments in the game. You have a character, Lord Calgar, that ends up showing up in a really badass way. And essentially, the last couple missions of the game are you fighting side by side with him and his reinforcements to stop the bad guys. And just to quickly summarize that again, try to slow alien invasion, fight heretical enemies, and stop the heretical enemies. And what was really nice is that they were just bad guys that were bad guys. There was no deep, hidden drama or ulterior motives for why they were doing what they were. So again, solid, fun campaign. Makes you feel like a badass. Would recommend giving it a try. Now I kind of want to talk a little bit about the operations that they have, which is another activity in the game. All it is you're doing PvE missions, and these missions take place during the campaign, where there are other squads who are completing different objectives so that you can complete yours. And as you go through these missions, you will level up varying classes, such as Sniper, Tactical, Bulwark, and there's a few other ones. Each one has perks for the different weapons you will be able to use. The classes themselves have skill trees that you can unlock and go through those and choose your talents. As you go through and complete missions, you will also unlock customizations for your character in the way of armor sets. And during these missions, they're just some simple objectives. Stop enemies from advancing, wipe these out, fight a boss here, a small puzzle here, objective of stand in this to break that kind of a deal. And they're just fun. They even have some hidden things you can find, like a gene seed, where if you can carry it to the end of the mission without dying, you get extra XP. And you can find armory data for upgrading your weapons and unlocking higher tiers. These operations are a very solid PvE mode and will give you plenty of extra hours of fun after the campaign, especially when you get to go through and try the different classes and you have a little bit of a different experience each time you go through a mission. And finally, we come to Space Marine 2's PvP mode. There are 3 game types that you can play: Team Deathmatch, King of the Hill, and there is a control mode that has 3 zones. Now, you have access to the same classes that you do in the operations mode, though you do not have the skill trees or perks, but you do have the same class ability that each class has, and different weapons available to you. Currently, all of these modes are 6v6, and the one downside to the PvP in Space Marine 2 is that you can only group up with 2 players and have a maximum group of 3 going into this. You cannot group up with a full party of 6. Now, that is something I've been told by some of my buddies when they've looked into it further, that it is something that is on Saber Interactive's radar, that they're looking into it, and it's something that I do hope they implement in the future so that I could play with all my friends instead of just picking 2 of them and, 1 or 2 people potentially being the odd man out. The gameplay for PvP is fun. You're not going to find yourself getting bored. You have the different classes available that you could constantly play as a different one. You could change your class mid-match, but they do have a cap on 2 maximum for each class per team. So if there's already a couple people on Sniper, unfortunately you're going to have to pick a different class and try out the other ones. And for those that care about this fact, it is not a super sweaty multiplayer experience. You can jump in, play, and not have to worry about all this extra advanced movement that a lot of games start to put in nowadays. You can just hop on, relax, play a couple games, and move on. With that said, winning games does help progress your unlocks for your armors, just like completing the missions and operations. So you could still play both modes and work towards the same unlocks. But for PvP, you do have to win your matches. Unfortunately, just finishing a game does not help you get any closer to getting the armor piece that you want. Alright, so now that I've kind of talked a little bit about each aspect of the game, I do think that this is a game worth giving a try, but that is just me. I like these kind of games. Not everyone else may, but it is a traditional old school game. It's feature complete. You're not going to be waiting for a patch or DLC to come a month or 2 from now. They should have been there. But definitely do your own research. Take a look at the gameplay, see if it's something you would enjoy. And if you think you might, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Well, that's it for this video. If you made it this far, I appreciate you for taking the time to listen to what I had to say. If you like the content, please leave a like and subscribe. And I will catch you on the next one.